So do me a favor and read the problem first. After you read the problem, then start listening to my explanation. Okay, so they give you a formula right here. And they're telling you that the T represents the time in years, and the P sub T represents the projected population. So how many people are there going to be? Now, when I look at it, what I see is right here is always my principal. It's what I start with. It's my initial amount, which means, and I will say this part, actually I call it the A. It's all different numbers, let's be honest. I'll just say 1,500. Listen to music while I finish this. So the 1,500 represents the number of people in the population of Marysville to start. So right now, the population just started and it's 1,500 people. Now, because I see that this is greater than 1, it represents growth. If it just said, let me move this here. If it just said 1,500, 1 to the T, that means that the population isn't growing. It's at 100%. Because 1, if you move the decimal over twice, is 100. So it's not growing. If I put in 1, it's still 1,500. Second year, 1 squared is 1 times 1,500 is 1,500. The population isn't growing. But when it's bigger than 1, 1.08, what it's telling you is that it's growing at a rate of 8% each year. So the 1.08 means that the population is growing by 8% each year. Okay? So I really want you to focus on that. Now, what if I gave you the same function, but this time I said 1,500 and I did 0.92 to the T? If you look, it's less than 1 because it's cents. It's like a dollar, like 100%. It's at 92%. That would mean that it's decaying or decreasing by 8% every year. The population will be getting smaller. Okay? All right. Number 2, do me a favor. Read it. Once you read it, let's answer the question. Which one represents it? Well, I see that I start with $500, and all of these represent that. And then I see that it's going to be growing at a rate of 10%. Okay? And it's going to go by 10% every year. So if it's growing, it's got to be greater than 1. And if it's growing at 10%, and I move the decimal over twice, that's 0.10, which is 0.1. Same thing. So that means if 100% is 1, and 10% is 0.1, 110% is 1.1. So if you look, that's saying it's only 10%, and I don't even know what that 4 means. This is saying it's only growing by 4% for 10 years, but it's saying grow 10% for 4 years. Therefore, the answer is A. This is just saying it's actually decreasing by 90%. So that's decay. So know that since that is greater than 1, that's why it's showing the growth. Let's go to the next one. Read through it, and then let's do it. So it doesn't matter what letters you use, but I guess we need to figure out first if it's growth or decay. It says decreases, so it's this. Some of you are going to be able to do this part in your head, honestly, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So initially means the start, so I start with 93. Now we're talking about temperature. And then since it's decreases, it decreases by 9%, which for some of you go, if you have 100% and you take away 9%, you know you're left with 93%. Feel free to jump straight from this step to this step. Okay? What they want to know is how long is it going to take before it gets to 68 degrees. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go 68 equals 93.91 to the T. Now for right now, you have no idea how to do this any fancier than guess and check. So I'm going to pick up my calculator, and I haven't done this in a year, so I'm guessing and checking. And I'm going to plug this in and guess some values until I get to 68 degrees. So I'm going to go 63.91, and we'll go to the 5th day. Oops. Sorry. I know that's kind of hard to see. Let me zoom it in a little bit. So it looks like by the 5th day, I'm already at 39 degrees, but I want to be at 68 degrees. So I need it to be warmer. So I'm going to up, enter, and I know some of you don't have the capability of a calculator, so let's try day 3. Okay? So if you look, oops, I see what my mistake was. This is why Ms. Rifkin needs to be careful. I started with 93. That makes more sense. Now let me try. Day 5. Okay, so I'm at 58 degrees. That's still too cold, and I wanted 68. So let's try 4 days. I'm at 63, but that's still too cold. I needed to get to 68. Oops. So if you look, now I'm at 70 degrees. So it looks like after the 3rd day, it will be 68 degrees. Okay? Because at the 3rd day exactly, it's at 70 degrees. It's still a little bit too warm. So you give it a little bit and it decreases, and then it'll finally get to it. So it's after the 3rd day. Let's go to the next one. All right, they gave me a function, and they're asking me to, let's see, what does each part of it represent? So 10,000 when it comes to your investment means we're talking about money. So the $10,000 means that's how much money I have invested initially or to start. It's because the 0.03 is over 1. It represents, let me go 1.03, means it's a growth of 3% every year. Which means I have $10,000. After the first year, I'm going to have 3% more of that. Okay? So now it says find the value after 7 years. So I'm going to take the 7 and I'm going to put it in there. You can use Desmos for that, but I'll just use my calculator because I want to make sure we understand dollars and cents. So 10, 1, 2, 3, parentheses 1.03 to the 10th power. Now if you look, it tells me 13439.2. But what I need you to see is we're talking about money here. Nobody talks about money like this. This is dollars and this is cents, so that has to be a 0 there. And then 1, 2, 3, comma. So after 7 years, you'll have $13,000. Okay? And I want you to be clear. And now it says, what if instead the value of the investment start to decrease at a rate of 5%? So now I'm saying I still start with $10,000, but it goes down, so 1 minus 0.05 to the t. Or as some of you know, 1, 2, 3, that it's now 95% of its value. So now I'm going to take that t, or 7, and put it in for t. And what would happen if I lost 5% each year? So I'm going to go up, enter. It's still 10 years, but now instead of gaining by 3%, I'm losing 5% each time. And I get 5987.37. So it looks like after 10 years, if I decrease by 5%, that I'll be left with $5,987. So I would have lost 4% after 7 years. I'm sorry, 4,000. Okay. All right. I bought a car. It cost me 20 grand. Each year, the value decreases at a rate of 25%. So I start with 20,000. 1, 2, 3. And it decreases at a rate of 25, which means I'm really losing that every day. Again, you don't need to do this step if you can just see it. Let's say A sub t, P sub t, who cares? Write an equation that can be used to find the value of the car t. Done. How long do you think it will take for it to be worth 5,000? So I'm going to put the 5,000 in here, and right now I'm just going to do guess and check. So I'm going 5,000 equals 2123.75 to the t. Now I'm going to give you a little hint because we're going to step it up. It seems annoying to me to write that, but if I divide by 21, 2, 3, and now I divide by 20, 1, 2, 3, cross off my zeros, 5 over 20 is really 1/4. And 1/4 is 25 cents. So I'm going to plug this into my calculator. Okay. You don't have to do what I did. You could plug this in, but I'm telling you, more efficient. And it'll be more efficient in the future. Okay. So I'm going to go 0.75 to the 5th, and I'm trying to get a quarter. I'm at 23 cents, so I'm a little bit too low. Let's try 4 years. So 0.31. So it looks like after 4 years, the value will be worth $5,000. Okay? And that was what your homework was.